All right, time once again for catching up with Tommy Mack here on 1010XL's podcast platform at 1010XL.com. Of course, on the app as well, the 1010XL app, and archived and streamed all around social media, wherever you find your great content, right here from the 1010XL podcast studio. So many great shows with Jags, Gators, Seminoles, you name it. Got it right here at 1010XL.com. Brought to you by the Tommy Mack team. The team keeps growing, man. I love it. Chris Lucero, bail bonds, J-Dog junk removal. Love the vets, no doubt about it. Riverbend Ranch and Azar Sausage Company, third generation owned. It's locally owned and operated, and everything local with those guys. We'll talk about all these great sponsors throughout. Got a lot to get into. Training camp, of course, about a week away. Rookies reporting first, then the veterans. I'm going to talk to you about an interesting conversation I had recently with an NFL coach, a good friend of mine. I'll probably leave him nameless, but we'll talk about it because it's very interesting. We'll talk about Tom Coughlin being a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame. We'll look at Mike Shanahan and George Seifert, who's also up for that award. I already texted TC. I said, well-deserved. You belong in the Hall of Fame. I hope it happens. We'll take a look around the National Football League. New York Jets D lineman gets paid big time. We'll talk the Aaron Donald trade, which I think is crazy, and Malik Jackson calling a career. And we'll wrap it up with what is your biggest concern for the Jags in 2023? I mean, everyone's talking everything positive, as we should. But let's play a little bit of the devil's advocate and see if we can figure that one out. I know where I'm leaning, no doubt about it. Let's welcome in my esteemed producer. It's Grammage. Graham Marsh. How are you, buddy?
Happy Friday, Tom.
Happy Friday. It's going to be a good day. You know where I'm going to be at 3 o'clock today?
Where's that?
Take a guess. Out at the beach.
Down to the corner?
No, too early for the corner. What it's not too early for. What kind of pub is always open to all types of people, and you can go at any time of the day, so it's going to be a nice...
A little bit of Pete's action?
A little bit of Lynch's Irish Pub, the Irish Pub across from the ocean, man. I'll be there at 3 o'clock with my boy Robbie, talking a little biz and having some beers, so I'm looking forward to that.
You are, Tommy, I must say, you are in, mid-season form. You just listed, a whole slew of topics.
Yeah.
For the podcast. We're in mid-July.
Oh, there's so much going on.
And you just gave us a full show's worth of content that we're going to talk about.
I mean, come on.
I'm impressed.
Tell me it's not. It's all right there. I mean, all you got to do is do a little digging, little shizzle here and there, and you come up with a show. But I did have an interesting conversation. I got to leave him nameless because he is a really good friend of mine. And I'm not going to tell you everything we talked about, but he's been a coach in the NFL for a long time. And, I was talking to him about, today's game was scheduled. You have one practice a day. You can only have 10 padded practice all throughout camp. A lot of time off, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so I said to him, for a guy like me in 95, I'll never forget first day of training camp. I look at the depth chart. I'm like fifth middle linebacker or sixth. I'm like seventh or eighth on punt team. On kickoff, I'm like on the lowest part of the totem pole when it comes to the depth chart. And I said to him, how would I make this? How would I make a team? I mean, we had multiple opportunities to showcase what we can do. In today's day and age, You don't have that many opportunities to show something. You know what he said in response? He goes, Tommy, the majority of the roster's already set. There's 6, maybe 7 spots open every year. Other than that, everybody's set. Nobody's getting unseated. These are our guys. This is who we're sticking. And I said to him, it's funny because I always say that. If you stay healthy, you got to be productive. But if you stay healthy and you're productive and you're good in the locker room and they like you, you'll play on that team forever, unless what happens? You get hurt, production goes down, or you become too expensive and they don't feel like paying you anymore, right? At that level. And I just found that interesting because you see rookie free agents today make teams and have significant roles. But in order for them to get there, man, it's like first shot, you better be, whoa, look at this kid. You know what I mean? There's no knocking off the rust. There's no man, it might take him a little bit to get going. I mean, you only have so many opportunities to impress. And I just found it amazing. So you think about the Jags, the majority of their roster set. He brought everybody back. Everybody's back. So who's going to be the ones that make this team that are that 6 or 7 or 8, whatever it is, maybe even 5, that unseats somebody to make this team. The only way it's going to happen, Graham, is special teams. That's really the only way. Not the only way. James Robinson did it as a running back a few years ago, right? I'm not saying as a blanket statement, but you got to make your mark on special teams.
If you are one of those like fringe guys, don't know if there's a roster spot for you or not, the positions you want to be playing are receiver, DB, and like linebacker.
Right.
Because those are the three positions that they're going to put as gunners on punt team and guys on kickoff and that type of thing.
Yeah. Take the O-line. You're going to keep 10, let's just say, or 9, whatever, 8, 9, or 10, right? You think of the Jags right now, you could probably pick the 8 right now or 9 right now. Who's going to unseat number 9, number 8, and how are they going to do it? Have they done it already in OTAs, in mini camps, whatever? Maybe they have. Who knows? Obviously, whatever they've done so far in the offseason, it better translate to when the pads come on, or then you go the other way. You know what I mean? But I just found that interesting. And then I thought back to, geez, I mean, we had a lot of opportunity. I mean, even that low on the depth chart, you would get maybe 3 to 6 reps at linebacker in a practice. And if you had 2 or 3, now you're at 12 to 18. You know, like, so it does add up. You don't think it's a lot, but you get at least that. Today, I don't know if you get half that in a day, or if even a quarter of that in a day with one practice.
You know what I feel like it does more than anything is because we as fans, we never care very much, but it just shows you how important those preseason games are.
Yes.
For those guys. And now there's 3 preseason games instead of 4. It's even more important.
So. Yep.
I mean, think about Tim Jones.
Right.
Tim Jones made the roster last year because of his production in the preseason.
In the preseason games.
That's 100% why he made the team.
Deserved. He did. He stood
100%.
Out. He stood out.
But you're right. The limited opportunities to be that guy.
Right.
I mean, I think about a couple years ago, do you remember when Hard Knocks was the Chargers and Rams?
Yes.
When it was the 2 LA teams?
Yep.
That was COVID year. From what I remember, I believe they didn't I think it was leading into the 2021 season maybe that they did Hard Knocks that year, maybe the year before, I don't remember. But they didn't have preseason games that year.
That's right. Yep.
So, and that was like a big part of Hard Knocks that they were talking about was no preseason games, because normally that's a big thing they highlight in the show.
Right, absolutely.
And who was the Chargers coach then? Black guy was a running back.
Anthony Lynn.
Anthony Lynn,
yep.
Yes. He was
talking.
Call,
huh? Come on, give me some.
Of course.
No, he was good, though. I liked Anthony.
I remember
he was here. He was a running back coach here, wasn't he, at one time?
I think so, yes.
I think so, too.
He was the head coach there, and he was talking to, I think, his running backs coach at the time, and they were talking about no preseason, whatever, and he was like, I just think back to Austin Eckler.
Yep.
Eckler was one of those guys that had a great preseason, and now he's one of the best backs in football.
That's right.
He's like, if there were no preseason that season, there may be no Austin Eckler. Yeah. And you just think about how many guys are like that.
That don't get the opportunity.
And you think about how
enough
the league,
opportunity.
Because you just think about the league, man. We always think about those first round picks and those types of guys. Like, there's a whole slew of late round guys, undrafted guys that just are dying to make the roster.
And here's the thing too. You know, there'll be. It didn't matter what year. There would be days where you don't have good days.
Yeah.
Like, for whatever reason, you just don't.
That's a good point.
You're not having a good week or a good 3-day span. And back then you had a chance to make up for it because I still got time. You know, I have another week. I have, a few more double days or 2 days or whatever. I got an extra game, right? But you don't have that today. I tell you one thing, because kickoff's so different now too. Who cares if you can run down a kickoff if they don't return it? But punt, you better make a play. You get a shot at punt team, you better make a play. You better get rid of that guy and make sure you get in on that tackle. That's how you open your eyes. But that's the reality, ladies and gentlemen, of these guys trying to make a team that aren't drafted. The draft picks make it, no doubt. The high draft picks especially. 5th, 6th, 7th, that range. There's 6th, 7th. There's no guaranteed whatsoever. Maybe even 4th through the 7th in today's game. And then the free agents. So when free agents make it, or late round draft picks, that's quite the accomplishment in today's game.
Let me bring it back to this team.
Yeah.
A guy like Caleb Von Chason, who was a first-round draft pick, right?
Yep.
This is probably his last chance coming up.
And he keeps getting chances because he's a first-round draft.
Yes.
Yep.
If
that happened.
If this was 10, 15 years ago, would he still be on the team? Or would, because of what we're talking about, because of the just mathematical probability that some other late round or undrafted guy or whatever gets more of a shot to unseat a guy like that.
Yep. Like Abdullah might this training camp.
Correct.
Yep.
But to our point that we've been making this whole episode so far is the number of Yasir Abdullahs is much more limited.
Right.
There's way less guys or just way less chances for those guys to make that type of splash play. Yep. So there's been less people to unseat somebody like the first-round pick that's been a disappointment. Taven Bryan was the same way.
Right.
Taven got every possible chance.
Because of the first-round status. That's the way it works.
Because if there's no shot for the sixth-round guy to unseat you, the sixth-round guy he pulled a hamstring, he's cut out of here.
Yeah.
Sixth-round guy, he had one bad preseason game, he's cut out of here.
Right.
Well, how many first-round guys had bad preseason games?
Right. Or bad years who hadn't done much production. Like, another thing about Chason, does he do anything on special teams?
No.
Right, which is wild that so this is a big year for him. Look, I think the other side of it is, too, I've said this before, and I'll always say it, very hard to make it into the NFL. But once you make it and establish yourself and you stay healthy and you're productive and you got a good attitude and you do everything they want you to do, you can play for a long time. You could stay on that team for a long time because they want you there, because you fit culture, you fit everything. Yeah, we want to keep these guys together. And as long as they're productive and stay healthy, we'll keep them. We'll keep them as long as we can. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. Hey, I'll tell you about Chris Lucero, bail bonds down in St. Augustine and in Clay County. Hey, don't get in trouble. Trust me, I've boarded the line of trouble here and there along the way in my almost 53 years. But if you do get in trouble and you get thrown in the clink, make sure you call Chris Lucero Bail Bonds, and he'll get you out. He'll get you out quick. And let me tell you this, he's also quick if you try to run. So be wary of that. Make sure you pay back the bail bondsman of Chris Lucero, 904-822-BAIL, the number one name in the bail game. That's 2245 if you need to put the numbers with the bail. All right, 822-2245. All right, Tom Coughlin, one of 60 semifinalists for the 2024 Hall of Fame class. I've already texted TC. And I told him, congratulations, well-deserved. You deserve to be a Hall of Famer. And I truly mean that. And I'm not because I played for him in college. I played for him, of course, here with the Jags. You look at his stats, you look at his resume, and you know that he belongs in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it. So I did a little research, if I may, and I looked at Mike Shanahan and George C. I think Holmgren's in there, too. Robert Kraft's in there. And I think only two of the, what do they call them? It's a certain... established Hall of Fame, like you got the current, not the current players, but that class, then the added on of the.
There's little like tiers of.
Yeah, what do they call it? Like the senior committee or whatever it is. Hey, Hall of Fame is the Hall of Fame. But let's go through it real quick, if we may. So Tom Coughlin, let's see here. Overall record, 20-year record, 182, 157. 182 and 157. 12th all-time in victories with 182. 7 seasons of 10 wins. 19 playoff appearances, went 12-7. Of course, won 2 Super Bowls, as did Seifert, as did Shanahan. That's why I'm comparing them. Also won 2 Super Bowls, both upset wins. Maybe factor that in against New England. Nobody thought they were going to have a chance. He's got another Super Bowl as an assistant, if you count that. I don't know if I do. Seifert's got 3 as an assistant, so I don't know. He's got 2 as a head coach, 3 as assistant. How do you put that? We'll talk about it. And then look, on top of that, Coach Coughlin put the Jags on the map really quickly. In 96, we went all the way to the AFC Championship game, playoff team 97, 98, AFC Championship game, and again in 99, which we didn't win. Of course, if we win and go to the Super Bowl, win or lose, he's probably already a shoo-in. I think he should be a shoo-in, but let's compare, if we may. All right? You ready for that?
Absolutely.
Mike Shanahan, a phenomenal football coach, especially with the Denver Broncos. Now, I looked up his record. With Washington, it wasn't that great.
No.
Now, we had 1 year they went to the wild card. They got beat by Seattle. But in the wild card, but
mediocre stint.
Mediocre stint overall, no doubt about it. Although it helped Kyle Shanahan get off the ground, no doubt, and a lot of guys, including McKay out in. They were all the same. Who was it? It was McKay, It was three of them. McVay.
Mike McDaniel.
And yeah, they were all together. Yep. That's pretty awesome. All right, so Shanahan, 178 and 144. A little bit better of a percentage, but not as many victories. Back-to-back Super Bowls. Tough to do. Very tough to do. Won 8 playoff games. He was 8-6. Interesting.
So less playoff wins than TC.
Yes. And less overall wins than TC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mike Shanahan's deserving of the Hall of Fame as well. Look, you win 2 Super Bowls. How many coaches have won 2 that are in? There's not a lot.
There's not.
So if you win 2, I don't care how you win, whatever, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, the only thing I'll say about Seifert, and by the way, Seifert 10-5 in the playoffs, and he was 1-114 in 62. So he had a good record there. He won almost double, right? 2-1. But I always felt like he inherited Bill Walsh's team. And I don't want to take away from that team. They were great. They were phenomenal. They won in 89. They won in 94. But I just feel like when I look at George Seifert, I think, great coach, but he took over a team and an organization that was built by Bill Walsh and carried it through.
Not that this is like the benchmark.
It's not a knock on him. The way I feel.
Not that this is the benchmark. It shouldn't be, but just to throw it out there because of Bill Walsh, there's a lot of people who don't know who George Seifert is.
Fair. Or that he was even a head coach at one time.
Right.
Although when he went to the Panthers, you might remember that. Remember, he got the head coaching job at the Panthers.
Yeah, but there's no football fan from that era that doesn't know who Shanahan and Coughlin are.
Right. No, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, Shanahan.
And again, that's not fair. That shouldn't totally be the benchmark.
I agree.
We complain that Fred Taylor in a small market didn't make Pro Bowls because of the same reason.
Yep.
So I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to say that's the reason.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, if you win 2 Super Bowls, and a lot of people don't know who you are as a head coach, you're probably inheriting quite a bit from the former guy.
Right.
I
think that's fair to say, but still hard to win.
Very hard to win.
Very hard to win. Yes. So you got to give them, and they had some great teams. Coughlin also had 7 seasons of 10 wins. That's pretty impressive.
That's very
How does he
impressive.
not get it? I'm reading all this stuff off. I'm not saying the other 2 don't deserve it either, but just based off resume. And then if you want to include, which they haven't, because he wasn't the head coach, but he helped build 2017. He was the one that brought in those free agents. And they
100%.
were for the Calais? Are you kidding me? The safety, who'd they grab?
Barry Church.
Barry Church. I mean, he got the kid, the corner.
Boye.
I love having you on this show, man. You're going to be great. Listen, 10 years from now, I'm going to really need you. What's that guy? That guy. No, but seriously, he helped build that team into a winner that went to the AFC Championship game. You factor that in. So, look, I'm shocked he's not in. I think Freddie should be in. I think Jimmy should be in. But from a resume standpoint, respectively, per position and what they did, Coughlin's resume is the best one in that scenario.
100% agree.
Just based on the victory. So he should get in my opinion. I hope he does. He deserves to get in. I think what he did with the Giants was phenomenal. I think his story's phenomenal. I don't factor in off-the-field stuff with the Hall of Fame. I don't. Just like I don't, if it's negative, I don't want to put a lot of weight into that. It's based on what you did as a ball player. Are you one of the greatest ball players or coaches or administrators or whatever, executives ever in the National Football League? That's what the Hall of Fame's about. So
the only time...
like Robert Kraft. I don't care that he went to a massage parlor down in South Florida. Who cares?
The only time I think that you can factor in off the field things.
Murder?
If
OJ's out. What? Take his. No, I'm just kidding.
If it affected your on-field performance in some way, be it
cocaine for LT, is that what he's saying? Like he's high on cocaine getting 4 sacks a game?
Or did it cause you, now, I think he should be in too, but this is a knock on Jimmy. His off-the-field issues cut his career short. He would be an easier shoo-in if he had played for 3 or 4 extra years, which he easily could have.
Yeah. Well,
but his troubles off the field cut his career short.
That's speculative. I don't think he would say that. But
he
did stop playing. He did stop playing abruptly.
Right. So
But I don't think that should. I don't think it. Look, you put his resume up there. The amount of 1,000-yard seasons that Jimmy Smith has had is comparable to some of the greats of all time.
Oh, I agree. I think he's
7 or 9. So I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not going to factor in. Now again, I don't know. What if the guy is a murderer? Like what if he, or beats women or what? Yeah, there's got to be a line. I don't think self-infliction should be the line. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, look, LT was known for going out all night long, doing all types of stuff, playing on some drugs, and would get 4 sacks. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do you factor? No. I mean,
it's like Dennis Rodman in basketball. It's like,
right.
I don't think this guy ever slept.
Or look, I mean, I don't want to get into it, but even with baseball, I thought it was hypocritical with the start. You're giving them amphetamines. Put me on speed. I played on speed in a high school all-star game. I never told this before. I did, and I was a freaking maniac. And it was actually, you know what it was? I'm not kidding. It was liquid adrenaline. A teammate of mine who I knew from my area this was down in Illinois State. I'll never forget it. This is a dumbass story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So we hook up during the week. It's the Shriners All-State, All-Star game down in Bloomington, Illinois, at Illinois State, where James Robinson was from.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we're working out during the week and blah, blah, blah. We're just talking about different things. He's like, hey, have you ever tried speed before a game? And I said, I did my junior year, but I didn't really like it. I did. I tried a little speed. It got you fired up. It just got me out of my game. Like I was too fired up, He goes, oh, well, you got to try. You got to try what this stuff was. I have no idea. I was such an idiot. You got to try liquid adrenaline. I'm like, well, what's that? He's like, well, it's kind of like speed, but it keeps you kind of, it's not so chaotic.
You can still focus.
I go, you know what? Why not? Let's try. So before kickoff, he brings this little vial and you took a little sip. And anyway, so we're playing on turf that night. And I'm thinking I'm bad to the bone, Mr. All-Star. I got my shirt tied up. I got my sleeves tied up. And I'm just ready to rock and roll. And my head's flying. I had one of the best games of my life at that moment. I made every tackle. I'm running down on kickoff. I'm flying around. I'm sliding on the turf like it's no big deal. Well, guess what? I woke up the next morning. I had turf burns. I had a nasty one on my oblique, on my arms, on my knees. And guess what I had to do the day after? Fly out to Boston College and start my college career. I'm surprised they let me play in this game. Literally the day after, I had to go. So I fly into Boston, right to campus, right to practice, and they want me to run a 40. And I'm like, I can't even bend over to get in a stance. The burn on my oblique, I mean, I had a scar there forever. It hurts so kids out there, don't take liquid adrenaline. Just... You don't need any of that stuff. I'll tell you another quick story. The year after my dad died, my mother would always go to the games. And we were taking back then those Magnums. They were legal. They were 357 Magnums, they called them. They were just like caffeine pills. Yeah. But I'd take them out of the capsule, mix them in with my Gatorade, and, get you all fired up and whatnot. So anyway, I'm coming. I'm in the parking lot after a game, and I'm talking to my mother. She's like, I want to talk to you. I said, yeah, what's going on? She's like, I don't know what you're on, but you don't settle down to midway through the second quarter, because I was starting then. I was like, Ma, she's like, I'm watching you. You're jumping all over. You're jittery. You're doing this. You're doing that. You need to settle down. And I stopped taking it after that. And she was right. I didn't need it. But
Moms always know, man.
Yeah, what's that?
Moms always know.
She knew. She was like, what in the hell are you doing out there? I'm like, what are you talking about?
If you ever think you're getting away with something on your mom, you're not.
No, she caught me. She caught me. No doubt about it. Hey, you see the shirt, J-Dog Junk Removal. It's veteran owned and operated. They're looking for veterans. If you know a veteran, if you are a veteran, if you're a spouse, family member, friend, what have you, and they're looking for work, well, guess what? J-Dog Junk Removal is looking for them. Go to jdogjunkremoval.com. Any of your junk, any of your appliances, anything. You got to move some stuff. They're going to take it. They're going to refurbish it and give it to a veteran or a veteran family. That's what they do. Make sure you check them out at jdogjunkremoval.com. All right, across the league, how about Quinnen Williams getting a nice deal? Now, how about this? Quincy Williams, who was a Jag, wasn't good enough to make our team, goes to the Jets, good enough to do well on their team, gets a nice deal this year. I think an $18 million, $21 million deal. Well, his brother, Quinnen, got a real nice deal. $66 million in guaranteed money. He's now the second highest paid defensive lineman, defensive tackle in the game. Well deserved. The guy's unbelievable. But here's the question. brothers are out to dinner, out for drinks. Who's picking up the tab? I know who's picking up the tab in my world. It's the 66 million dude. Hey, I only got 20. You got 60. You're buying. What a great story for both of them to get paid the way they got paid. And they are very, very good players. No doubt about it.
Quinnen also might be the funniest player in the NFL.
Yeah, he's got a good
hilarious.
Yeah.
His rookie year, he got asked what it's like playing in the NFL, and he said it's like Madden, but real life.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
Wasn't he the guy that said something about playing with himself? He's like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. When he's talking about playing, man, he's like, yeah, I played myself.
He also,
like, I didn't mean to say that, but good for him, man. What a great, I tell you, you think of the defensive linemen in today's game. They're the top guys. They're outstanding. And they're
the way they can move, too,
just
at their size. But Quinnen, during an interview, sneezed, blessed himself, then thanked himself.
That's great. You know, the dude from Clemson who went to Miami was funny like that. The Kirksey Christian. Was his last name Christian? His first name was Christian. He went for Clemson, big defensive line, first round pick for the Dolphins. Yeah. They got him mic'd up a couple times. He chatters. I was terrible at talking smack. I had one thing to say. FYP. Let's just start. FYYP. That's all I had. Let's move on from that. All right, a lot of it's really, really speculation, hypothetical. Aaron Donald being traded. Would the Rams unload him? It's going to be due $31.6 million this year. So let me tell you how guys get paid. They get paid in the season. So if there's 17 games, there's a bye week, they get paid in 18 weeks. So he walks up to the counter like 1.6, 1.7 per week for 18 weeks. How about that? That's pretty outstanding. I don't think I wouldn't. I mean, would I want him on this team? Yeah, but you're changing the entire defense. Forget 3-4, you're going 4-3. And maybe you're going to see more 4-3 this year. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not bringing in Aaron Donald to play nose.
No. He's not a 3. He's not a 5 technique. He's just not. You put him on that. Look, I'm telling you, that's why I love the 4-3 over the 3-4, because that defensive tackle, one-on-one for the majority of the time with that guard, should win most of those battles if he's, in fact, a better athlete than the guy he's going against.
Well, if Aaron Donald,
usually is.
A smart offense is not going to let you go one-on-one with Aaron Donald.
Yep.
So they're going to dedicate their center probably to helping out that guard.
Right.
That's going to be getting his butt kicked by Aaron Donald.
Right. And that still doesn't help.
So now all of a sudden, your other guys could eat pretty well.
Yeah.
If they're who we think they are.
Right.
If you were to trade for Aaron Donald, all of a sudden, Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, Devin Lloyd when he comes in, Smoot if he comes back.
Yep.
Big guy in the middle that we like.
Devon Hamilton.
Yep. They got no excuse if that were to happen.
That's right.
Now, I don't think they'd do it. But
No.
But
I don't think I would either. I love Aaron Donald. He's phenomenal. But I don't know if I'm changing everything for one player. I keep saying it. Foley's got to have a big year. Fatukasi. He's got to have a big year. I think for this defense to really take the next step, he's one of the key components in that. And finally, just a former Jag, Malik Jackson, retires after 10 years. Congrats, Malik. What a great career. What a beast of a player. I mean, him next to Calais in 2018, pretty bad to the bone. No doubt. I posed a question on Jaguars today. If you could only pick one set, Henderson and Stroud or Calais and Malik?
Henderson Stroud. I got to go Henderson Stroud.
It's really hard with Calais, though, because he's so good. And his 3 years, you put up against anybody.
Oh, 100%.
Anybody. So that's where it comes. But it might not be fair, Graham, because when Stroud and Henderson played, the game was different. It was stop the run.
It was
still get off the field on third down, but it was stop the run first, and then we'll play the pass. Get him to that pass, then but obviously a little bit different today. But that's a good one-on-one. What do you think out there? You let us know who you going with, Stroud and Henderson. Who I'd love to play behind those guys. Oh my gosh, that'd be so much fun. Mo P and Puzlesny, they were fantastic with those guys, no doubt about it. But congrats to Malik Jackson, a great career after 10 years. Hey, I've been telling you about Azar Sausage Company, man. I try everything. I don't promote anybody that I don't believe in, and this company is local. This company's third generational, and the brothers are running it now. Grandpa started back in World War II. Dad took it over. Now the two brothers are taking it, and they're out in the retail world. So make sure you check your local grocer, Winn-Dixie, Publix, and anything else local for Azar sausage. You know, most of the time you order sausage at a restaurant here locally, Azar sausage is the sausage that a lot of these restaurants use. So check them out in your local grocer for sure. All right, let's wrap up this show, Graham, with a question I have. So everyone's, and I am too, very positive about 2023 for the Jags. Okay, everything's coming up rosy, right? Everything looks rosy.
Sunshine and rainbows right
beautiful,
now. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's all beautiful. Everyone's beautiful. Everyone's great. Everyone's awesome. Man, he had a great camp. He's going to be so awesome.
The weather looks great.
Blah, 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 blah. Everything's great. All right, so let's play a little devil's advocate just real quick. Biggest concern for the Jags going into 2023, is it the offensive line? Something with the defense? Back-to-back winning seasons. Hey, it's hard to win. Back-to-back winning seasons. Not easy, right? Health has got to be a factor. Ball bouncing your way, just things going your way. Things clicking, chemistry going. Everybody in the right groove on the field and off as well. But I'm going to give you first crack at this. What's your, be the devil's advocate. Great movie, by the way. Scare me to death. As a Catholic, I'm scared to death of the devil. That's why I clutch onto my crucifix and say the Our Father all throughout the night whenever I wake up. Another little tidbit from me. But what would you say is the biggest concern going in?
I'd say the defense, man.
Yeah, but what part of the defense? It is the defense.
It's still pass rush, man. Mm-hmm. It's still pass. And the reason I say pass rush is because I don't care how good the secondary is.
Yep.
If they're not getting to the QB, it doesn't matter.
You know it.
Particularly because they got to play in the AFC.
Yep.
I believe, based on their schedule, based on who I think they are, I believe this team is going to make the playoffs. And because it'd be year 2 in the playoffs, expectations are higher in the playoffs. And I'm just looking at the quarterbacks you got to play. If you don't get to these quarterbacks, forget it, bro.
Got to hit them.
I don't care who's playing DB. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't care how well you're stopping the run.
Yeah.
None of this matters. If it's 3rd and 9 and I can't get to Joe Burrow and I can't get to Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert.
First down or touchdown or big play.
They're kicking us out of the playoffs, man. Totally. So it's the pass rush, man. I think that's the big. And I also think, too, when you take a step back and look into the regular season, if the pass rush is a disappointment, like I think it's fair to say the pass rush was a disappointment last season.
Oh, totally.
If the pass rush is a disappointment, but everything else is what we expect it to be, I think their record will be relatively the same it was last year. So, you might win the division, and then you got to go on the road the next week in the playoffs.
You're not gonna be
If that pass rush is really getting after it, and Josh Allen is a double-digit sack guy, and Trayvon Walker really comes on and all that, you could be looking at an extra home game in the playoffs.
No doubt. Without question.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Now Absolutely. All of a sudden...
We're on the same page.
Now all of a sudden, I think my road in the playoffs is much easier as well, and I can maybe really start thinking about a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So to me, it's pass rush, and it's not even close, honestly.
Yeah. So some people would say offensive line. I'm just going to say to that, Phil Rosher.
I agree.
That's it. Forget it.
I agree.
Forget it. He'll have them ready. He got them ready. He made them better. He made all of them better last year. All of them. They all got better.
You've also got a quarterback with phenomenal pocket presence.
Great, and you got a coach that knows what he's doing, head coach and what he's calling, the plays he's calling, all that. No doubt about that. It's funny. I made a joke. I'm always on Twitter, and Baselli made a comment that
I saw this.
They were gonna, between Allen and Walker, they'd have 25 sacks, 23 to 25. He And I made a joke like he's hanging out with Aaron Rodgers, drinking that Hayahuasca or whatever, which I want to try. I think you already heard my story.
Do you want to go to the darkness retreat?
No, I don't want to do that. I just want to be left alone. I want to see what happens, but just keep me outside so I can run if I have to. But he, I was like, man, he's hanging out with him. That's great. But here's the other side of it. If they were to get 20 or plus, whatever, they're going to the Super Bowl. I mean, if the pass rush comes, they've got a shot at the Super Bowl. Now, here's the deal. Think about it from a macro standpoint. If our defense improves the way our offense improved last year, and our defense improves from last year to this year, like our offense did from the year before to last year, which was, and Trevor.
Night and day.
It's a pancake.
Yeah.
You're flipping them over, right? I mean, that's phenomenal. They're going to the Super Bowl. If that defense, because here's the number one concern for me. It's intertwined with what you're saying. Dale here, I do want to, thanks for chiming in. Dale thinks cornerback is our weakest or biggest concern. I disagree with that.
I do too.
Because I like our corners. It's third down. You got to get off the field on third down in the NFL. Now, granted, if you can outscore, you're going to score every possession. Maybe you don't. That doesn't have to ring totally true. But if you do, it gives your offense more opportunities to score. If you get off the field on third. Last year, they were like 42%. That is not good enough for a Super Bowl championship team. Now, I'm sure some of you I shouldn't say nerds, you stat people out there that like to look up stats, you can be like, well, Tom, actually, 3 years ago, so-and-so had the worst third down percentage. They still won the Super Bowl. I don't know. Maybe it's out there, but I know this. If you get off the field on third down, which last year they couldn't and didn't, there were games they were 70%. 70. You cannot win that kind of football at 70. And I agree with you. If they don't improve, it's going to be similar than last year, 9-8 or whatever on there. If they improve, if they can get off the field on third down, if they can give the ball back to the offense, this team will be a Super Bowl contender.
And listen, man, look at the schedule. It's not the easiest schedule ever, but it's not the toughest schedule either.
Well, aside from the big games, I agree. The big games are tough.
I think it's a very top-heavy schedule. That's my opinion.
All right, give me the big games.
The big games, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens.
49ers. I think Tennessee's going to be a tough out. I just don't see them not.
But Tennessee's not to the level of those teams, though.
No, they're not. But within the division, and they play us, you know what I mean? And you know what? I don't know.
I mean, look, it's the
on
NFL.
Paper, we're better than everybody else in our division. No doubt about it. I agree with that.
I think
but it's more than that.
Put it this way. If you were to play all 17 games today, like if any of the 17 games that are on the schedule were to be played today, outside of those few that we just named, there's at least, in my opinion, there's at least 9 games on the schedule, probably more than I'm not thinking of right now, that they would be clear favorites in. I'm including Tennessee.
I agree with that.
So because of that, that doesn't, again, that it's the NFL. That does not mean you're going to win all of them.
No, definitely not.
What it does mean is it means it's realistic to set the expectation at a certain bar.
Yep.
And it also means that they could and perhaps should win those games. And it's a disappointment if they don't, right? So if there's a pass rush, if the offense picks up where they left off last season, there's no reason that this team can't have a very favorable outlook heading into the playoffs.
Yep.
But to me, the biggest next step of this team from the macro standpoint we're talking about is let's make our road to the playoffs easier.
Yep.
Let's not need to go to Arrowhead the second round.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well,
we're so conditioned to, if the Jaguars are in the playoffs, it's such a miracle that everything's got to be.
I know. The other side of that, though, is this. So, okay, the 9 games we should be favored in, okay? I agree with you there.
There's probably more. That's just what I had.
No, whatever. Just say those games they win the majority of. If you don't beat the big ones, it's not going to matter anyway.
Oh, 100%.
In my opinion.
I agree.
And you don't have to beat every big one. You got to get in it. Look, I was asked, what's my expectation? What do they have to do to be successful this year? Make the playoffs. I'm not going to say go how far you go in the playoffs because anything can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
We live that. We've seen it. We've seen it as fans. I've seen it as a player. Seen it right here in Jacksonville. So you don't know what happens. I like the hot team. I always like the hot team or the really good team that knows how to win, like Kansas City. They can have a week off and not miss a beat and still, or if they are a little rusty, they catch up quick and everything is fine. Not every team can do that. So all I care, just get in the tournament. I don't care if you're 9-8 again. Just get in. Now, once you get in, I'm expecting you to keep winning, and then we'll talk about it then, but just get into the playoffs. And I think this team has every opportunity to be a playoff team.
I just think the biggest, one of the most undiscussed things about the playoffs is just teams that have favorable schedules
yep.
and teams that get to play at home win playoff games. I mean, look.
Agreed.
Patrick Mahomes.
Although I've always liked on the road. On playoffs. I like playing on the road. Us versus them, 300.
It's cool.
Go watch 300 and then go play a playoff game on the road.
Don't get me wrong. When I'm in that moment, I'm the same way. I'm like, let's freaking go. It's us against I feel the same exact way.
Against the world.
But I mean, there's a reason the Chiefs have hosted 4 AFC Championship games in a row.
You're right. Yep.
And
they've been
to 3 out of 4 Super Bowls in the past 4 years.
No, right.
And if not for a couple of plays the Bengals made in 2021, they would have gone to 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
The Patriots used to do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Every single year, the AFC Championship game was in Foxborough.
Right.
Well, guess who went to a ton of Super Bowls?
Yeah.
It's the work you do in the regular season that earns you that, right?
Well, here's the issue, too. Like, we sit here before the season starts, and we look at, like, just take the AFC South. They may look bad right now, but that doesn't mean they're all going to be bad. Like, you never,
100%. I agree.
You never know. Like, they catch fire, they all come together. Next thing you know, everything's clicking, and they're a tough out.
And we're on the same page about the Titans.
And don't count out the look. We should beat the Texans. We should sweep them. But I hate saying that because history shows, aside from last year, we don't. They kicked the crap out of us for many years.
Also, it's the league, man. Yeah. You can't assume anyone's a win. No, the Colts beat the Chiefs last year.
Right. I was watching that on that quarterback show. That's cool.
Yeah, it was. I got through episode 1.
Yeah, me too.
That's the only one I've seen. But really good so far.
Yeah, I like it.
I already liked
Mariota's kind of boring. I don't know if I like seeing it. He's just
I agree.
And Kirk's a little boring, but he's kind of nerdy boring. So he's kind of like you're intrigued by what he's going to say next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's very Kirk is very. He seems very calculated. Everything's
I agree.
Nothing by the seat of his pants. No street ball like we see out of It's all this. You know what I mean? Preparation, recovery, how he handles his. It's almost like a robot. Almost like wow, he's kind of.
I don't know if you felt the same way watching it, but I didn't dislike him or anything before, but I like Patrick Mahomes even more.
I like Pat. Yeah, he's cool.
What I love about him is that he's that good.
Down to earth.
Him getting in Max Crosby's face.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love when
Trevor started really balling his ass off last year.
Yeah.
It was that Titans game when he got in their face and pointed the score. I love I just inject that stuff into my veins.
Yeah.
Man. When your QB is like in the mix of things.
Yeah.
I mean, you know it from a player.
Oh, no, I know.
If a quarterback's willing to do that type of stuff, that's got to get you like jacked up, man.
Yeah, and I like about that show, the hits are real. And you see the pounding they take. They take a pounding.
You see when you see when guys say it's like car wrecks. You see that they're not BSing when they say that. Like it really is.
I told you in college, me and my roommate fullback, we had a drill in training camp, and it was like basically a pass rush drill. And I was up first against him. He was like 230, I was 240, and I didn't put a move on. I just tried to run him over, and he started choking, and he broke a bone in his throat. And he gets to the hospital, and the doctor's like, I only see this in car accidents. He's like, well, that's basically what happened. Poor kid couldn't breathe. I was like, Adam. I thought he was going to die right there. It was so awful. And then, of course, the old coach like, just leave him alone, the medical staff. I'm like, he's dying. Like,
move the drill.
Like, he can't breathe. Poor kid.
Coach like move the drill 5 steps over and keep going. Like,
oh my gosh, unbelievable. It's a violent sport. There's no doubt about it, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Hey, I want to remind you about Riverbend Ranch. Make sure you text pound 55 meat to 904-234-4893. My boy Mark will lead the way from there. It's Riverbend Ranch. You get the meat right from the ranch. No antibiotics, no hormones. Best steak you'll have. I've had a few of them now, and they are absolutely tasty, and they'll deliver it right to your door. So make sure you text pound 55 meat to that number, and we're also going to have a special offer for you. So do that when you get a chance, and have a great weekend. You know what I'm saying? Graham, nice job, my friend.
Yes, sir.
We're going to keep it rolling every Tuesday and Friday here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. It's going to be a great season. You know this from me. I'm not a sugarcoater. I'm not a hype guy. I don't like hokey. I like real. When they win, we're going to praise the heck out of them. When they lose, we're going to rip them a new one. Depending on how they lost, we may not rip them a new one, but you know what I mean. We're going to hold everybody accountable, including ourselves, but it's going to be a fun year, and it's just about to start. So, I don't know, strap on your seatbelt. You've never been on a ride like this before.
This will be year 3 for us, Tommy.
How about that? Rock and roll hoochie coo. By the way, I walked by the TV set. We got to do more in there. Remember when we did the show? We were at the.
Yeah, it's pretty damn cool in there.
I think we should do more. All right. That'll do it for us. Y'all have a great weekend. Stay safe out there and be cool, man. And we'll see you right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Peace.